that.
All right. Okay. Should we just start then?
Yeah. Fuck it, let's just jump straight into it.
Let's go for it. All right.
Not gonna have the same issue we had last time, but I'll let you introduce the podcast. Because last time I feel like we didn't actually do a proper intro.
No,
so
I think because it took so long, we were like, let's try and sort of make an intro without actually having an intro.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like for the first episode, people clicked on. They're like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah.
It was a bit dodgy.
Exactly. All right, then I'll start it up.
Go for it, mate.
Okay.
You start it up. Go for it.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the second episode of the Matt and Max podcast. I'm here with Max, obviously. How you doing, lad?
I'm doing good, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, and so last episode, first of all, I just want to get this right out of the way from the very beginning. If the video's uploaded and it's like an hour long, don't comment saying I've watched it in the first minute, because we know you haven't.
seen it all, Matt. Loved it. Something like that. Like
yeah. Like, what was the comment? Where is it? I'm just gonna look it right. Okay, I think it's like just something like love the podcast or something, and it was up like just a minute before. And like, it doesn't win brownie points. You might think they'd be like, "Oh, you watched something." We can see that, even if it's just for the first hour. Just hold off. You can lie all you like, but it gives it away right at the beginning. But the comments and the views and support, it's super sick as well. Actually, for the first video,
I'm gonna have a look at it again quickly.
I've got it right here. And also, we should do like a little 100 subscriber celebration of some kind.
And our first video hit 1,000 views.
Yeah, it like peaked nicely at 100 subs and 1,000 views, which is super cool. And for the pilot, a lot of people seem to like it. And obviously, we got Nexif coming in with the deep questions as well, asking, "Is the Earth flat?" Have you seen the whole flat Earth thing,
Mate, of course, yeah. When he typed that, the Earth is flat, I don't know what I was really thinking at the time. I was like, I'm going to just throw a bit of bounce back. I was like, obviously, why do you think clouds are flat and not curved, mate? But when I wrote that comment, have you seen it?
No, wait, let me
look at the reply I did to him. I wrote that thinking, that's funny, Max, well
obviously,
done.
Why do you think clouds are flat, not code?
It's dead. No, exactly, it's dead. That's the legitimate reaction.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But just to clear anything up, because I feel like that Jacob guy afterwards, he was like, interesting.
Yeah, it's like, you're onto something there, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Just to clear up, I'm not a flat earther. That was genuinely just me trying to be like bands. And sometimes,
have you ever seen the curvature of the Earth in real life, though?
My cousin has. That's
really?
actually yeah.
Have you?
So my cousin,
you know?
Have I? No, but I've seen him and I've seen his video.
Videos,
so like,
though.
yeah.
Videos.
So basically, I don't know if you call it the curvature of, like, you can see it, but not.
Yeah, I see it on a plane.
If I showed it to a flat earther, he'd be like, nah. Basically, like, it's not enough proof.
Yeah.
Come on, like, you get what I'm saying.
I think when there's been like flights like 40,000 feet in the air, you kind of can sort of see it, but you're just telling yourself you can. You probably can't, but there's just no way. There just is no way.
Nah, there's no way, mate. Like, I've seen a video. So my cousin, he's in the RAF. He's trying to become he just graduated recently to becoming a trainer for parachuters. I'm gonna say that. I don't want to fuck that up at all. But basically, yeah, he wants to be the guy who sort of like, hooks him up, like hooks himself up to you when you're like jumping out of a plane when you're training for the RAF.
Oh, so like military, not like skydiving for fun. Like.
No, like military. Yeah, military. So he had to go to, I think, LA the other day, and he finished off his course and he graduated recently. So like, that's awesome for him if he's listening. But he showed me, so he uses his GoPro when he jumps out the plane, and for one jump they had to go up really high. So obviously they have to prepare for like worst case scenarios and like everything really. You gotta cover all the like extremes of it. So they went really high up. I can't remember the exact amount of feet, but really high up, enough to see the curvature anyway. And he jumped out the plane, mate, and like I could see on the GoPro, mate, you can literally just see like the curve of the Earth.
Yeah, but I have a counter argument. I'm not a flat Earth guy, but the GoPro's natural recording is a fisheye. It just like
nah.
It is like my face cam when I have GoPro, like the edges is purely circular. Like I mean the Earth is not flat, but like you could just say like that's a camera thing.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, just play a devil's advocate, obviously.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, it has that sort of like fisheye sort of lens kind of effect to it. But
did you see? I saw one guy went viral on Twitter, and he said he posted a picture on a flat Earth group with like a flat horizon, saying like, I can see for like miles here. Where's the curvature? And the flat Earth page approved it. And then they show you the original picture in the tweet, and it's just a screenshot from PUBG, like the corner.
Oh my god!
And they were like,
I've seen that.
Yeah, they're like, this is pure proof of the flat Earth. And it's like,
oh my god, no, I have seen that.
It'd be like going on to Fortnite and just be like, is there any curve in Fortnite? That's a good question. Do we know? We don't know if there's any curve in Fortnite. Maybe Fortnite's flat Earth.
No, there is curve. No, there's ultimate curvature in Fortnite, mate.
Is there?
You look up in the sky, mate, there is curvature.
Yeah, that's the curve of the storm, though, isn't it? Like,
again, sorry,
that's the curve of the storm, because it hones in on a dome. but the world is flat. I swear. We're just sat here debating the flat Earth in Fortnite.
I don't know. It's like a little island, isn't it? I guess you
Oh,
you can't really see. Yeah.
Have you seen like
conspiracy? Say again.
No, I was gonna say like conspiracy theories. Like, have you seen like all these theories going around about like just like?
Well, when I was a kid, mate, I was really impressionable. Like, it wouldn't take me much to sort of believe stuff
something
that were out of the norm.
Yeah,
it was easier for me to believe stuff that was like out the norm than in the norm, because I thought I was some like edgy kid. I don't know, mate. But I genuinely believed a lot of conspiracies when I was a kid, and I'm talking about like all the conspiracies you could think of. I think at one point I managed to almost convince myself that Eminem was dead and they've replaced him with a robot. Like that. I'm talking when I was young, mate. I was young.
I
so
get you.
It got to the point, mate, where I'll just be online. I'd read an article, I'd come across a video,
and
I'd be like, "Oh, you know what? You think he's got a point there?" He is.
Yeah, that's the thing. They always have what could be valid points if it was actually real, but they just. It feels like it never is. Like, have you seen? You must have seen, like, when you're like late at night, you're on like that weird side of YouTube, and you get around to the 9/11 conspiracies.
Yeah.
Of course, like, there's some valid points in there, but you're just like, it can't be. It's like
the thing is with the 9/11 conspiracies is like a lot of it is in the air even today, and you've still got a massive backing behind them, because. Even like, for example, the Joe Rogan Experience, he had someone on, I can't recall his name off the top of my head, but he had some guy on, and this was like years ago, but this guy basically came on, and they got into an argument on the Joe Rogan podcast because he was saying how he wrote a book, and in the book, he put Joe Rogan as someone who is an advocate for conspiracy theories. So Joe Rogan said to him, like, when he came onto the podcast, he was like, "What are you talking about? I've never advocated conspiracy theories. I just discuss them."
Yeah, exactly.
That's my job. Like, I discuss them. And sometimes I will play devil's advocate, but I'm not going to every time I play devil's advocate say that I'm playing devil's advocate, because it takes you out the moment, sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's what he was saying, and he was just saying, sort of like with 9/11 and everything like that. There's a lot of it's in the air. A lot of it's dodgy. A lot of it is very dodgy. They released multiple official stories, and
and there's the whole like government concealing information and stuff that makes it even weirder.
I don't want to get into it in that way, mate, because I'm gonna end like saying something. But I'm just saying, mate.
Saying like, what? Who's gonna watch? Come on. What are you thinking?
Oh, mate. No, I'm saying that I personally don't know what to believe in that regard with 9/11. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I believe the conspiracies, and I'm not saying I don't believe them. I'm just saying the official story doesn't add up, and it's just a bit, I don't know.
So what's it we're led to believe? We're just led to believe that 2 planes hit the towers and the towers collapsed.
And this is this is also where I've got to be careful, because like I don't know my facts of this, of course. Like, I don't know all the specific details. So if I say something wrong, don't roast me.
Yeah.
It is like very dodgy territory coming into conversations like this. Very dodgy.
I've seen videos.
I guess that's what the channel's for.
You know, like the conspiracy have like, they always seem to have good arguments, which is why they have like weight in conversation and stuff.
Obviously, yeah.
And like there were people like, there were like eyewitness accounts of like hearing a bomb go off and like and then you hear videos. I mean, it could easily be edited, but there's like a slight explosion. There's like seems to be clearly a bomb underneath, because it's like, how does the building fall the way it did? Like, there's so much stuff, and like no one. I mean, there are people that must know, but there's not like an official thing for it.
I find it very hard to believe, very, very hard to believe that like all the government and everything, they know that this was all a setup, and they've somehow managed to keep it quiet amongst the thousands of people who know about it. Yeah, I find that very hard to believe. Yeah.
There's
because in that sense, you're gonna have to have everyone who knows about it keep their mouth shut for the rest of eternity, and it's just like someone's gonna be on their deathbed and be like, "Fuck it, this is what happened." You know what I mean?
But then you could argue that the people saying the conspiracy theories are those people, but they have no proof, just the arguments.
What do you
mean?
The
people that are like, for that to be true, like obviously everyone would have to keep their mouth shut, right? But then there are people obviously saying these conspiracy theories against the government, so maybe they are those people that were supposed to keep quiet or whatever, you know what I mean?
Whoa, you hit me with a whole new fucking...
so like you said, everyone have to be quiet for it to be like under wraps, which is very unrealistic. But like, what if it's not being kept under wraps, it's just being treated as another conspiracy theory that has no real truth in it?
What, and you're saying that the people who are treating it as conspiracy theory...
They are the people that know the truth,
Yeah,
that are supposed to be kept quiet. That could be something.
Okay, don't know why that took me so long to clock then. I think there's like a word I was missing or something, but no, I know what you mean. Yeah, that's the thing, mate. That's what it is for conspiracy theories. You don't really know. You sort of just have to take the evidence at hand and make your own judgment on it.
Yeah, there was one conspiracy that like we have it in the UK as well. You know, like mattress shops and like sofa shops, not so much sofa shops, but most like beds and that. The shops, they're like dead. There's no one in them ever.
Yeah.
And you know, there's that shop near you, the end of your like road, like that like shop that has just mattresses in, and you can barely walk in there. You know, and there's never anyone in there. And then there was the theory that mattress shops are used for like drugs and that, because in America there's this like one street, and it's got 3 mattress stores along the street within like a couple minute walking distance, like a 30-second drive between all 3. Just the same brand of mattress store all along. They're all empty and they're huge. And it's like, oh mate, what's going on in there?
When you're buying a mattress, mate, like you either go to one of those big companies or you just like order one online or something like that, because you have to get it delivered to you regardless. It's not many people can buy a mattress and actually fit it in their little fucking Toyota Yaris and bring it back to the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But mate, like, I wouldn't even put the idea past that. Like,
no,
I wouldn't. Yeah, mate, because a lot of shops, man, like obviously a lot of places are used for like drug money laundering and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then you also have, mate, I can't remember, and I don't know, I really wish I knew enough to talk about it properly, but not too long ago there was something called, I think it was called Pizzagate. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't. It was, enlightened me.
And again, I need to say this before I go into it. I don't know much about this, but I remember being a bit fascinated with it at one point, and it was basically, I guess you could call it a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Well, it was a conspiracy theory, actually. It definitely was.
Okay.
But it was, and when I say it was definitely a conspiracy theory, I mean, like, I don't actually know if it was legitimate or not, but it was it's in the air as a conspiracy theory. It hasn't been proven, but people still don't know.
Yeah, okay.
But there was a couple of fast food restaurants like that weren't, you know, sort of like major names, sort of like those, like, you know, like Star Pizza.
Star Pizza,
and that, like, not that Star Pizza was one of them. Don't worry, Star Pizza. I got you. I put it like that.
Yeah,
but they were basically saying how they used to send these fast food restaurants basically had like a paedophile sort of thing going on, and they were like trafficking children and stuff like that, and they dug deep and they found emails between these places, something like that, or towards celebrities even, and it was starting to incriminate a few celebrities.
Where's this at? Like where in the world?
It was quite a big thing. If I look it up actually while I'm talking about it, it'd be a bit easier.
Not like local or anything, because I've never heard of this. Like,
no, not local. I think it was in Colombia. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Police
Department of the District of Columbia. So it says here that Pizzagate is a debunked. Okay, it says debunked here, so maybe it has been proven wrong. Conspiracy theory that went viral during 2016 United States presidential election cycle.
Right.
Basically, all I know personally is that a lot of famous names and famous celebrities were apparently caught sending emails to these random sort of pizza places and stuff like that. Who were only pizza places as a cover-up for their sort of like, you know, children trafficking sort of business they had going on. And in the emails, they were using a lot of words repeatedly, and a lot of the feds and that apparently were associating some of these words with code words.
Yeah.
So for example, this is like just completely for example, like a burger could mean like a child, for example.
Yeah,
so like,
I get you.
I want to order something burgers, for example. And I remember being I think it was in college actually, 2016. So yeah, 2 years ago, I was in college. And me and my mates were fascinated with this. We were like, oh shit, like all these celebrities are like touching kids and shit. Like, what's going on? It was weird, mate. But it just goes to show that like a couple of people start talking about something, and a conspiracy theory can really go like crazy.
Oh, dude, you know that? Remember that conspiracy so much, but it's called Elsagate on YouTube. Those,
Elsagate. Why are they all gay?
I think like there was that whole like Pigate thing with not John Cameron, David Cameron as well. But like I think it's but this whole Elsagate thing, it was like the idea that like there's like a community of paedophiles on YouTube making content to specifically appeal to kids and get their attention, and then they'd speak in code in the comments. And like, right, let me see Elsagate comments code. Okay, so basically they type gibberish, and it would show like it would show like as a message to these people that know what it is, but to everyone else it just wouldn't make sense. I'm trying to find like a couple like they would use emojis and stuff, and it's just it's dark, mate. It's cold, and like things like this go around in the world anyway. Like it's not. These things do exist. It's just when it gets to our like culture, it becomes weird. But like
it's cold, mate. It's cold. It is scary.
Like it's like French people use different languages. Elsagate.
The YouTube one.
Elsagate. Yeah. So it's just it's crazy. Like because there's so much anonymity on the internet as well. Like it's so easy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's been people, what's it? Not people, accusations against these Minecraft YouTubers before, hasn't there?
Yeah, like Bashaverse and
I personally don't know enough about that.
What was his name? The lion. He had like a lion face for a picture. I can't remember his name. Oh. I think Elfin Lee as well. He had some accusations on him, and it's like, what? Like, these are all like proper child-friendly YouTubers, and they just. Oh, okay.
Well,
wait.
The age range of the people that watch them is honestly crazy.
Like, there's one comment right here, and I'll read it out letter for letter. It's like TJLDMF space HHD dot JVVB and a load of other stuff like that. And one of the like. There's words that translate into like I love you, and I remember one, like it was a really viral one. It was like a gibberish sort of comment like that, and it essentially discussed a meeting place. It was like meet in the car park sort of thing, and like it was. And there's one comment right here. It says if you translate it some kind of different deciphering program, there's a comment that says I think he's a serial killer. That's completely gibberish to the naked eye, you know. And it's like it's so sketchy. It's weird. Like think about when we were kids. Like, what did we do? Like, because we didn't go on the internet. Like, really, did we? When did you first start going on the internet?
I actually remember vividly the first time I knew about YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and my dad actually never let me go on it, and
really?
I used to always wonder why. And obviously now I kind of know why, because you can really search anything and see it. So my dad was obviously trying to protect me from that. But YouTube used to look obviously a hell of a lot different. For those of you who don't know, it used to have a completely different look to it. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but if I type in here,
like those awards you'd get on your channel, like you'd get like most views.
Say that again. You'd
get like it was 2011 at least when it had this layout. It probably was before as well. And you'd get like awards on YouTube. Like if you were the most viewed in the UK for the week, you get like a little award.
I don't remember that. No.
Oh, mate, that was
for a long time for me. YouTube was the first thing I started watching on YouTube was like car videos.
Right.
Like cars escaping the police or a car like drifting, something like that. Because that's like, me and my dad used to watch those videos together.
Yeah.
And then like when I remember saying to my dad, like, Dad, how can I access this when you're not about? This was YouTube now at the time. But at the time I had no idea what the fuck it was. It's just some crazy place on the computer where I can watch any video I wanted.
Yeah.
So it was mad.
How old were you, do you reckon? Was before secondary school, or
when did YouTube come out? Was it 2007?
2005?
2005, something like that.
Yeah.
God, mate, I must have been
what, you
10?
Like 10?
No, younger than 10.
8?
When did I make my first video? Could have been 8, 7, mate. Young, very young, yeah. But like, what I'm saying is, right now I've got a baby cousin who's like 5 years old.
Yeah.
And he's already been watching YouTube for like a year, mate.
Yeah, it's mad.
And it's mad. He loves watching like Minecraft YouTube and stuff like that. He watches my videos when he can, but obviously his parents aren't too keen. Cause
wait, didn't your cousin take your uncle's phone and send you a message or something about your videos?
Yeah, he was like, oh, bless you, he was so cute. He picked up my uncle's phone and he was sending me messages. He was like,
more rage, please.
Yeah. Can you imagine, like, rage more, what you
That's
doing?
Why I
soppy shit. Nah, he was sending me messages saying stuff like, I love your episodes, Max, but please stop swearing. I love your videos, but please stop swearing. Sorry to say that.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, bless him. He doesn't know how to type. I don't even know how he types that, to be honest.
Yeah, what?
He's smart, man. Like, these kids with their...
It's weird. It could go like one of two ways. Like, there's the people that like... Because, you know, every generation thinks the one after them is the worst. Like, we got it. I mean, I suppose... Part of me wants to say, like, the kids being born now and the young kids aren't a different generation to us, but they kind of are, because people in our age are, like, having kids, which is really weird. But, like...
Yeah, it is weird.
The parents of us, they were like, oh, all these, like, the PS2, it's, like, it's too much. And now all these kids nowadays, they've got, like, full-on iPads and... gadget, like mobile phones. Like, why?
Yeah, it's crazy. And I look back at my childhood and I feel to myself like, oh no, I did grow up on technology, but when I think about it, I didn't really. I was just saved. I feel like if I was in this generation, I'll be fucked, mate, because there's a lot of things that like I did when I was a kid that are like.
Yeah, like imagine if we had like Logan Paul, Jake Paul all around when we were like 6, 7. We'd be like little mavericks running around like dabbing on haters and stuff.
Yeah, mate, you have like it's like a brainwash, mate. I can imagine getting so invested with that, and then anything they do, like you're gonna want to do, like they're your role models.
Yeah,
obviously. To have that on the internet could be a dangerous thing, man. Because obviously you see the things that Logan Paul does and stuff like that.
I can't imagine what it's like in schools as well. Like for like first school, people who have phones and stuff and talking about YouTube and that. Like it must be very easy to get sucked in.
I feel lucky actually to avoid that sort of generation.
Yeah,
and I honestly kind of wish that I was even in a... Obviously, I don't wish anything. I'm glad. I don't regret anything,
I think I know what you're going to say. I was thinking the same thing.
I do feel like a lot of my childhood was kind of like robbed from me by the Xbox. I feel like I spent way too much time on the Xbox when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I would have rather spent our time going out, making memories, and just, doing that kind of stuff. But then I do look back and fuck me, we had a good time. We had a good time on Xbox.
Yeah, dude.
We had a very good time.
Yeah, it's like we were kind of that awkward middle ground where there is technology and stuff, but like you would still go out and play. Like I don't know if kids do it. Kids must do it where they go out and like climb trees and that, but they also they probably don't as much. And then there's a post that I've seen so many times on the internet where it's like, there was one day where all you and your friends went out and then never went out again together for no reason, like that day when you stopped going out to play.
I've seen that.
And it's like, and you try to remember like, what was that time? Why was that the last? Because like, why was that the last? No one ever was like, all right, I'm done now, I'm old. Like
yeah, exactly.
You just kind of
I used to stroll around pool, mate, and oh my god.
I feel like I had a bit of a sheltered childhood, not almost like sheltered from bad things. Like
so have I compared to obviously a lot of people in the world. But if you're
it's like I've got such like an ideal situation. Like I've got a brother or sister. My parents are together. We've lived in the same house, and nothing bad's happened. No real death in the family as I was growing up. And
say really, mate. Yeah, no, like my situation's a bit different. Obviously, like my parents broke up when I was like I think like 4 years old, something like that. So then it got to a point where obviously my dad went and got a new house, so my dad then had a place and my mum had a place, and then I'd go to my dad's on the weekends, then my mum's in the week. Which I used to feel like it was so unfair when I was a kid. I used to get so angry at the fact that every week I had to pack up everything. And that's like back in the day, to be fair, if I had to do that now, that would be carnage, like with all the setup I've got. But back in the day, really, it was only a few clothes and an Xbox. I don't know why I made a big deal out of it. But
packing and tidying as a kid is the worst.
It was having to do it every week. And it was like every week, and then I have to go to my dad's for like a weekend, and I always preferred to set up at my mum's.
Yeah, that's the thing, because that's like your permanent sort of place, really. Like it's always a little bit better there. Yeah,
but then me and my dad always had like a good time together, so it was like, like that sort of. But everyone, I feel like more people had their parents split up than didn't. I feel like that's just
which really surprised me. I didn't think that until I meet a load of new people, and most of them they'd be like, "Oh, I'm at my dad's house. I'm at my mum's house." I'm like, "Are they not at the same house?" kind of thing. Like when I was really young, I was like that confused me. And my mum and I were talking about it the other day about like old times, because like how like basically pretty much everyone, my mum was actually an exception, like their parents were together. And like it just makes you think about like old times when like you'd have to talk in person, you'd have to go, and it wasn't weird to talk in person either. Like if everyone started doing it now, it would feel a bit strange. But like you communicate in person, you go to all these different shops, buy your groceries, your meat, and part of me thinks I kind of wish I had a bit of time there as well,
Yeah,
no,
I get what you mean.
Practically speaking, obviously where we are now is the best it's ever been. But
well, that's one thing when you talk about a sheltered childhood, like it's really honestly it's all to do with like comparison. It depends who you're comparing it to, because if I look at my dad, for example, like my dad grew up in Lebanon, where like in the middle of a war zone.
That's mad.
Mate, like this amount of stories I've heard from him are crazy. Like him and all my uncles as well. So like they grew up in what you could definitely call hell.
Yeah,
and
dude.
So in comparison to them, I've had a very sheltered childhood, like very sheltered, very safe. And at the end of the day, mate, like we grew up in like Poole, like South of England. Nothing really happens here, if you know what I mean. But then in places, then you do have, because a lot of people will determine your childhood on where you're from. So if you say you grew up in Hackney or Brixton, stuff like that, for example, people are going to say like, oh, you've had a rough childhood, because they're horrible places in the UK.
Yeah.
But then if you say you grew up in Poole, instantly a lot of people write that off like, sheltered, like, fuck, that is what it is.
Sandbanks,
but I know people, mate,
and all that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But I know people who have grew up in Poole, mate, who have had the worst childhoods, man, worse than a lot of people probably had in those places that I mentioned earlier, for example.
Yeah.
Like who were kicked out when they were like 10 years old or 11, 12 years old.
I don't understand that. I don't want to tell people how to parent their kids. Family. Any situation is different. But at the end, like there's people that say like that fight about just things that in the grand scheme of things don't matter, and like you'd get kicked out because of it. Like thinking of like when you just actually think about it, like that's your actual family. Like surely that should come first. Like no matter what. Like no matter what.
I've never understood kicked out. I never got kicked out when I was a kid. My mum and dad never said to me like, right, get out. Yeah. And I can't imagine doing that to my child, man.
No, like
especially maybe when they're like 18 plus, you get an argument with them, then you leave. But then
like, fine, just go live
18,
your own life. But like
fine,
even then, like the door's kind of always open if you need it. Like
the way I look at it is, if you have to kick your child out, it's your fault in the first place.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Much. Like you either not disciplining them enough, or you're not teaching them, how to be a normal fucking person enough.
Yeah,
to the point where you can't handle your own creation, so you're kicking them out.
Yeah,
like kicking, it's
like discarding a project you don't like.
Say any
you know
names,
what I mean? Like,
but you know who I'm talking about when I talk about the guy who got, like my friend who got kicked out when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And not that saying any names would do anything, doesn't matter. Like his name was Aaron, but one of my like best friends, when he was, I can't remember how old he was. I believe he was 12, 13-ish, maybe. He got kicked out by his mum in the middle of the night, like with nothing, in the middle of nowhere as well. He used to live about half an hour, 45 minutes away from everybody else. Yeah, and they kind of lived in like sort of empty area. Yeah. So she kicked him out at like midnight because the story goes is he was playing Call of Duty Zombies with me and some friends. And he was trying to do, if you guys know what an Easter egg is where like you're playing the game and there's a little like challenge you could do. Oh. Yeah. And he was trying to complete it, and I think his mum's boyfriend turned off the internet or something like that. Oh. I shouldn't laugh because it's fucked. Like, so he got, Aaron's got like ADDs. He gets angry and everything. Like, he got super mad, ended up like squaring up to his mum's boyfriend, and they got into a fight. And his mum's boyfriend actually hit him, I believe. Yeah. So they get into a fight, and then his mum kicks Aaron out. So now one of my best mates, who at the time I had a bit of like beef with, it's always been a rocky relationship with me and him, but like now we're really sound. But back in the time, I remember him calling me at like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. He was like crying on the phone. He was saying to me like, I'm scared, I don't know where to go, what to do.
Especially at age 12 as well, like that's...
it was 12, it was anywhere between like 11 to 14, I can't remember. I'm going to guess he was like 12.
Something young,
Yeah, he was way too young to be kicked out like that anyway. So he called me, he was terrified, he was on the phone, he was crying and that, and I was, half asleep. I'm pretty sure he might have even woke me up with the call, and I had to go to Belgium the next day for the school trip. Right. So I said to him...
so he would have been like 13 or something. That was year 9, right? Wasn't it?
13, yeah. It was whenever we went to Belgium, yeah. So I was going to Belgium the next day, so I said to him on the phone that it's a pretty dick move, but it's Aaron, you know what I mean? It's Aaron. So I said on the phone to him, I said, listen, mate, like, I'm not going to lie to you, like, this is the worst time you could have possibly called me. If you can try and find someone else, if you can't find anyone else, call me back and you can come here. Yeah. He was like, all right, Sal, that's fine. So he went and called a few other people, ended up calling one of my mates Barnaby, and he slept in his shed for a while, and then...
I wouldn't say that's a dick move what you did, though. Like, you did just say, it's not good for me. If you can find someone else, then that would be better.
Yeah, I was never going to leave him there. At the end of the day, like, if he had nowhere to go, he was going to come round mine, but I knew he could find someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
So I said to him, like, honestly, mate, if you could find someone else, like... But obviously, I look back on it, I feel like I should have just said, like, yeah, doors are open, come in.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I mean,
at the time, like, yeah, it was...
Well,
the way our friendship was, I said to him, like, yeah, find somewhere else if you can't, come here. But what I'm trying to say is that kid has had, like, a shit life, man. Like, a shit childhood, at least. Yeah. And there's other stories I can go into that he's been through that, just... It's messed up, man. So... when you say that, going full circle back to saying bad sheltered childhood is, everyone's got their own struggle, I think, man. And I think even a lot of people who don't, who maybe don't have the external difficulties, they definitely have some internal issues, man. Like mental illness is at an all-time high. Which is actually one thing that I wanted to cover, because my whole life I've always looked at mental illness. I never really took it seriously because I never experienced it. So I couldn't understand how people are saying, oh, I'm unhappy, but there's nothing to be unhappy about, or I'm anxious, but I don't know why, and stuff like that, until I personally experienced anxiety. And then when I realized, when I experienced anxiety, I was like, fuck, man, if this is happening to me, and I'm not saying to me like that, but if I'm getting anxious, like me in school, mate, like
that's not in your like nature at all.
Yeah, it's never been in my nature to be anxious or shy or anything like that. Yeah. And then out of nowhere, dude, I left school, went to college, and I just got hit with anxiety out of nowhere, man. Yeah. So
what is like your overall experience with like? So have you ever like you've just been like experiencing anxiety and stuff? That's like is that your only mental illness experience, or like?
And I guess you could say depression, but I feel like it's been situational depression. I don't feel like...
That's a really slippery slope. Like, I don't know. I suppose it literally becomes depression, like, when it's been diagnosed, I guess. But there's obviously, like, a blurred line between that, because
I've had times in my life, a few times I can remember, where I felt empty completely, to the point where I have no emotion, no nothing, and I'm genuinely sat down, I'm like, what the fuck am I like doing here? Like, what's going on with life? Life is like pointless in a sense. I've had a few times like that. It
was like you mentioned you mentioned a podcast with Drew. You said, have you ever felt that way and then just thought, I could just kill myself? You never would, but you just think
I could.
That's a possibility.
And I shouldn't laugh about it. But it's just like the craziness of it is what we're trying to say.
The fact you have so much power, but you, that's correct. That's
my personal experience with I'm not going to talk about depression, because that I don't feel like that was honestly just a couple of one-off times. Normally I'm happy and I'm pretty sane in that aspect, so I'm not going to pretend to have gone through anything I haven't in that sense. I've just had low moments like we all have. But anxiety is definitely something that I feel like I should definitely throw my 2 pence in on.
What was that like for you? Like,
anyone who's listening, they could benefit from it. You never know.
Of course.
So for me, when I was in St. Edward's, I had a really good group of friends around me, in the sense that I went into school every day knowing that even if like 6 of my friends are going to be ill and not in school, I'll still have like another 6-10 people, friends to hang around with. So I was never worried about, going into school and having to sit alone or walk around alone. I never ever had that issue. So I'm really, really lucky in that sense, because I know a lot of people did. And I can imagine that really fucks with your head and creates all kinds of anxieties and stuff like that. But luckily I never experienced that. So I never had anything to do with anxiety when I was a kid. I was always really confident.
Would you attribute that to the people you were surrounded with? Do you think it would have been different had you had no friends? Like, sounds bad, but like, do you reckon?
No, say.
Like, do you think, like,
what do you mean though?
Like, so, like, do you think the fact that you didn't seem to have any anxiety, like anxious problems, is because you had that solid group of mates around you the whole time?
Yeah, I think that's the main thing about it, because it's hard to explain, but I never experienced anything that would give me anxiety. But at that point, never bullied, never. Yeah. You
were never bullied ever. Ever bullied at school at all? Younger, older?
No.
You were just kind of that sound kid that everyone sort of liked.
I swear, man, I was never bullied. No, there was times where I got took the piss out of. Like within the friend circle, but that's kind of like. Just friends taking the piss, and like obviously I had the nickname Peanut and stuff like that within like the friend circle and that. But that's not bullying. You know what I mean? That's just like banter in a sense. So, but no, bullying I've never. And I'm really trying to think before I say I haven't. Even in primary school, I've never ever been bullied. The closest I got to being bullied was the year above us. You remember the year above us, the year 11s, like when we were in year 10. Those like group of dicks who like, we always used to have beef in the school.
Yeah.
And like one time, I remember the only time I'd ever say like, oh, I just got a bit of bully. I just got bullied for a second. The only time I'd think that is one time when I was on my own. I had none of my friends around me, and I was walking through. I walked past their whole group, and like 3 of them shoved me and like called me gay because I had fucking a Gap jacket and shit. That's the only time. And I couldn't do anything because obviously they're all older, stronger, and whatever. So I just started sucking up and So that's the only instant where I thought, okay, I just experienced.
That's a bit of bullying right there.
Other than that, that was it. But they were dicks. They bullied like they tried to bully like everyone. But other than that, no, I've never experienced it. But coming full circle again,
the anxiety thing, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so where I was going with that is I was trying to say that I had no reason to have anxiety. So this is why I'm so confused as to why I've got it now. But I'm trying to piece it together and think about why I've got it. But anyway, I was in school. I had a good group of friends. Never had any issues like that. And then the day we left school, obviously you lose a lot of friends with that. You have a big circle, then you leave school, and then it becomes like a tiny circle. You have like 3 or 4 close mates, and that's it. A lot of them sort of go. There's people I haven't spoke to who I thought I'd still be speaking to today. I haven't spoken to them since that day we left school.
That's mad.
So it's mad. Yeah, it's mad. So then I joined college on my own. A lot of friends sort of they join another school or a college with somebody else or sixth form, and I went straight from having this crazy massive group of friends who I like loved and you know had an amazing time in school to having absolutely no one in college. So in my head I had this own sort of food chain in a sense. So like in school, let's say I'm at the top and then I leave school, go to college, instantly I've gone from up here, like social status, to here, like down low. Obviously people watching, my hands going up and down, just in case you didn't know that.
I guess that,
so then I went to like joining college. I knew nobody, and when I joined college, there were people who didn't know each other there, so they'd already formed sort of social circles and that, and I felt quite like well, like I'd never felt before, like shy, alone, and I lost all standing to like give it the large one on, if that makes sense, if you know what I mean, to say it in my terms. So a few weeks of college went by, stuff like that, started making a friends here and there. And then I remember one day, mate, it was really weird because it hit me in the second year.
Right.
College made me shy, I think. I think college made me a bit shy and sort of like quieter, because I was never quiet. But college like definitely sort of instilled that like... I don't know what it is. Like,
everyone's a bit more to themselves at college.
It definitely made me pipe down a bit, and like sort of like think about things before I say them and stuff like that, because obviously I'm not around people where I can say anything and it's always funny and it's always this and that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
So I remember vividly in the second year of college, I was queuing up for my 9 o'clock lesson, and I made like a group of like 4 or 5 mates. Like 3 of my mates came over, and they're like, "Oh, you're right, Max, you're right." I was like, "Yeah, you're right, mate." And I turned and I looked him in the eye, and I felt I had basically had a panic attack. So I looked him in the eye and my heart like dropped.
Yeah.
My head felt like, I swear to God, I don't know if anyone's experienced this. If you have, definitely put it in the comments below. But I felt like my head froze and started shaking, and I didn't. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I was in like a completely different frame of mind. I didn't know where to look, what to do.
And this was after seeing your mate, like
my mate, And when I looked to him, I went from completely normal to like a mess in like a second,
instant,
mate.
Just straight like that.
Yeah, my breathing started getting heavier. I started man, it was weird, and my head was shaking. That's the one symptom that I remember that I've had quite a few times since then as well.
Really?
That I fucking hate. Yeah, dude, it's bad, and I don't know why. And the only thing I can attribute it to is that sudden drop in social status.
Really?
But then when I think about that even more, the first year I never experienced that, man. Like I was just a bit more shy.
That's so weird. It's weird how things work like that.
Yeah, man. I locked eyes with him, and I don't know to this day if he noticed it or not, obviously. But I was a mess. Then
mad.
That whole day, mate, I couldn't make eye contact with people. I was like, what the fuck? It was weird, man. I was like, look people in the eye. It was like I've been drugged or something, man. Like I look people in the eye and I didn't know what this. All of a sudden, my mind went blank. I'm too busy focusing on what I'm doing, where I'm looking. Or
that's the thing. When you think about what you're doing, that's when it gets weird. Like when you're trying to think too much about what you're doing. Like I think in terms of like anxiety, I don't think I've had anything like that. The extent to which I got anxious was because for the past like year, my job's been at my house. So it'd be like there'd be weeks where I wouldn't really see anyone but the people close to me. And there was one time I went to town, like not clubbing, but like to the town centre. For the first time, there were loads of people, and I just felt like a weird feeling in like my chest. You know, by your heart, you get that like, it's almost like nerves. But that's like as far as it went for me. I felt like people were watching me when they probably weren't. I felt very like.
But that was your first time in town, right? Because if so, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. It was my first time around a lot of people. I was like, oh, this is weird, because I never felt weird in a crowd. But then this time I was like, oh, that is strange. But like in regards to the whole like mental illness thing, I find it hard. Like I'm fully supportive of anyone who like has that, like any sort of issue. But like I find it weird to like, I think to myself like, am I depressed? I don't, because I've never been depressed. I'll say that now. Like depression, you get me? But like I got really surprised when I was like, because I don't know if you really remember my dad that much, but like he's like a really happy guy. Like he's
your dad's sound. I love
the
your
nicest
dad,
guy. Like that I know, like fact. And
he is. Yeah.
And I was shocked to hear that I think everyone in my family except me, not entirely sure about my sister. Actually, no, I am sure about my sister. My sister, my mum, my dad, and my twin brother. More recently, they've all like had like diagnosable depression, and I'm just here like, whoa, like because like my household as a whole is like happy, and I'm like almost blissfully unaware in my own little bubble. And it's really strange, like that surprised me, like particularly with my dad. I mean, thinking about why, like I understand why at the time I was like 4 or whatever. I'm just thinking even my dad can feel that way, and it's like felt like he got signed off for work for like 6 weeks, and like that shocked me so much. I was like, wow,
you got signed off for work on the basis of depression?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Like I mean, I hope I am lucky enough to not experience any kind of mental illness. Like mental trauma, I suppose, is different, and like ups and downs happen. But so far, I think I've been pretty lucky in that sense as well. But
yeah, well, that's what I mean. I never thought it would ever happen to me, so I definitely wouldn't put it past you.
Yeah,
I think for a lot of people, it comes out of nowhere, mate. Like I can't put enough emphasis on how sure I was that I would never deal with any of this. I was like, anxiety seemed like something that only happened to sort of like secluded,
shy people.
Sort of like, exactly, shy people. Like, I never ever thought that it could happen to me. I never thought that. And then when it happened, bro, oh man, dude, it was like I remember it's like the worst day ever. And then it started happening more and more, and then I realized like every day almost I can't look people, mate. It got to the point where I wasn't going into college because I couldn't be asked to put up with it. Wow. I swear, like I was literally just not. Obviously, when it comes to college, you don't have to convince your mum that you're sick or anything. I was just like, no, I'm just not going.
Yeah,
like, that's just the way it is.
You could just I get you.
But I'd say like I can't be asked and stuff like that. But really, the main reason was that I didn't want to. I couldn't actually. It was tiring, mate, having to put up with. Yeah, having to be so conscious in a social situation all the time.
See, that surprises me, like hearing that about you as well, because obviously of how you are, like
it is like, surprising. Yeah, exactly. And I haven't really talked about it much to like any of my friends or anything. There's only one friend who, in fact, man, I can even talk about it now. You know, James Jarrett.
Yeah,
he's going through the same exact thing as me, mate.
Right now,
and like. Doesn't that blows my mind more than me, because he was even louder than me.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird, like.
And when I found out that he's going through the same thing, because he came to my university and like we went out for like a couple drinks, and we got into this conversation, we were talking about it.
Yeah.
And it got really deep, man. One of the deepest conversations I've ever had with him, because we were experiencing the same thing. Just the only difference was like he has different symptoms when he gets hit with anxiety. So like my symptoms are when anxiety for me hits. I don't know where to look. Eye contact is like makes my head shake, dude. Like it's weird, man. I get very shaky and my head feels like it's vibrating, and it's fucked,
I shouldn't
man.
laugh,
like no. It's it's funny. I know what you mean, but And James, for example, I think his issue was like he gets like sweaty, he gets cold, and stuff like that. Right. So it's different things, man. But
so that's weird, because both of you are like you said, you're both like quite loud. You're both like giants.
Well,
you're like big. Manly sort of people, and that's the thing, is like I think mental illness has been like almost labeled it like almost like is emasculating the right word. I don't know, like it is it doesn't seem manly to be like, oh, I'm anxious, oh, I'm sad. Like that's what some people look at it as, but it can literally, like you said, hit anyone, which is it's weird in a way.
Exactly, man. And that's what I mean. When I found out it was happening to James, because I thought I was just losing my head at one point. I was like, I've got an issue. Like this, yeah. But then when I heard it from James, we started talking. We were like trying to figure out the issue of this and like why it's happening.
Yeah, and trying to rationalize something that can't really be figured out.
Exactly, and that's what we came down to, having such a high social status in secondary school, and then that just dropping after like a day. Because once you leave, you've gone from, because like you're in a bubble when you're in school. Like, you're just in a bubble. That's your world.
You just slowly get up, and you've got people around you experiencing it as well.
Exactly, yeah, and out of nowhere you've left that, and you're now into the biggest bubble, you know, and
the big bub.
You're just, the big bub, and you don't know what to do, mate. You're confused, and man, anxiety is definitely like it's. But the thing is with me is I'm very. There's a lot of people who have anxiety, you know, they'll start taking like medication for it. They'll start doing all this first. I'm very I don't know what the word is.
Medication.
It's not necessarily that, but I don't have anxiety to the point where I feel like it's unfixable. I feel like there's a lot of things that I could do to change my situation and change. Yeah. Because I spend a lot of time alone, obviously. Like, as do you, and as do we all really in this like generation. A lot of people spend a lot of time alone because, you know, at the desk, and especially with what we do, when I'm on my game, I'm doing it daily. I'm here.
You are here all the time.
At my desk all day.
It doesn't feel like it in a way because you're enjoying it, but like it is still
whereas
lonely.
At school, you've got social interaction for 6 hours a day, 5 times a week, and then on the weekend, still even more hours probably.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's one of it is dropping from that. But yeah, I don't know, man. It
is like the jump from like school to like college or anything else. It is very much all of a sudden like this bubble you've been in since you were like 3 or 4. Then you are kind of on your own, and I think it's almost like the realization that like adulthood and the rest of your life has snuck up on you a lot quicker than you realize, and it's like, what do I actually do? Like, you don't feel ready, you know? Like when you're 12, you look up at people who are like 16, 17, and they're like adults, you know? And when you're 18, you look down at 16-year-olds like, oh my god, they're like really, really childish, and it's just like perspective in that sense. And
I've thought about that a few times. I think to myself, like, because if I think of myself when I was 15, I didn't have a fucking clue about anything.
Yep.
And now I'm 19, and I look back at my 15-year-old self, and I look at him so as if he's a completely different person.
Yeah.
So then I feel like when I'm 24, 25, I'm gonna feel the exact same way. My 19-year-old self.
Yeah, that's why this podcast's gonna be good. You're gonna be watching this, be
exactly,
like, oh man,
yeah,
all that stuff is happening to me.
Yeah, exactly. So with stuff like anxiety and that, I know that it can change, and that I like to think that when I'm 25, I'm gonna look back at myself and be like, oh, remember when I used to have anxiety? Remember I used to have these like panic attacks?
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And there's a few things that I'm like implementing to try and like beat it. So one thing is obviously being more confident in myself, which to do that I need to get fitter. I need to just
I have that struggle.
Be more comfortable in my own skin. I feel like that's one thing that could do
that can do wonders for you. I feel like man,
exactly. Having confidence, But with anxiety, mate, for me anyway, the way I've experienced it is it's random each day, random levels of it each day, and I don't know if there's any factors in my life that are sort of attributing to it. Would that be the word? Yeah. So what I've decided that I'm going to do very soon actually is make a sort of diary in that sense, and each day I'm going to jot down like how much sleep I got, what I ate, little things like that, how many I don't know, hours of social interaction I've had, who I've spoke to. And then at the end of each day, I'm going to, on a scale of 1 to 10, write down what I would guess the level of anxiety was for that day.
All right, then over time you can see hopefully a pattern.
Over time, try and find patterns. Maybe I'm anxious on the days where I get less sleep, or maybe I'm anxious when I've had a week of not seeing anybody. Little things like that. I need to figure it out. But the last thing I want to do is diagnose myself with anxiety, convince myself in my own head that I'm anxious, and fuck myself for life.
Yeah.
That's the last thing I want to do.
With like the whole medication
thing. People do.
Yeah, they like go loads of pills and stuff. But like you said to me before, you don't want to be dependent on those things, because then if you take, I don't want to be labelled as an anxious person. I don't want to have anxiety. It's not something I'm willing to accept into my life, because I know it's not me, and I know that it's gonna be the end of me, mate. If anything, it's gonna fucking ruin me, because I thrive like off social situations. I always used to anyway. I used to love being the person who makes people laugh, and even to the point where I'd sort of maybe rank my own self-worth on how much I can make people laugh. Back in school I used to do that a lot anyway. Man. I get that.
One of the big things for me is caring what people think. When I was a kid, mate, in school I never cared what anyone thought about me.
Really?
So I swear, not once I didn't give a fuck, mate, at all. Not one fuck given. Like that's why, mate, like for example with the rapping, I made a channel where I used to upload like rap stuff like that. Everyone, mate, was saying how shit I was and that. I didn't give a fuck, mate. I carried on uploading like different songs and shit.
Yeah, that's good.
Mate, the amount of hate I got for that is actually disgusting. Like it's disgusting. Even my own friends were like, mate, you're shit. Like stop. I'm like, fuck that, mate. Like we keep going, please. And then starting a YouTube channel, obviously that was outside the norm by a fucking long shot, and
especially
everyone found out about that and stuff like that. So I never used to care, man. I used to back myself a lot back in the day. And I think what changed is, I don't know why, I don't know how, and it probably was just leaving that bubble, and it probably just comes with age and experience. But I did start caring what people think.
It's weird, because you tell yourself you don't want to care like what they think, but you just do.
Exactly. And it was the moment, but back in the day, mate, I genuinely didn't care. That's what I'm trying to say. I genuinely, I remember it vividly, but I did not give a fuck. And then I got older and I started to say the same thing. I don't care what people think. But then as I got older, I did actually more and more care what people think. And then it got to the point now where I do actually really care what people think of me. And I feel like that's why when I'm in these social situations, I'm really caring about what I'm more thinking about what you're thinking of me. Than of what I'm.
You might be thinking how you appear to them and what they think of that. I think. I think it's because like as a kid, it doesn't matter. Like everyone's opinion of you has no value to you. But when you're older, people's opinion of you genuinely reflects how they view you as a person. You don't want to be like a bad person. You know what I mean? Like, you want people to kind of like you because you are a likable person, I guess.
Exactly. Always trying to show your best parts and stuff like that. And
exactly.
I feel like also when I went to college, because I think I prided myself heavily on being the funny guy in secondary school. So when I went to college and I'm trying to do the same thing and like it's not really playing off as well, and I'm trying to make people laugh and it's maybe not hitting as well.
It's a different kind of humour, isn't it, when you get older?
I mean, little things like that just made me realise that like wait a fucking sec, like I'm lost here, mate. I am lost. This is not normal, man. I did not enjoy college. And it didn't take me long to make friends in college. Like I joined college, and obviously the first couple of weeks, like everyone sort of made their own friends group. I had like 1 or 2 friends. And then it got more and more. Then like ended up about halfway into the first year, I ended up having my group, which I ended up sticking with the whole way through college. Which like thank fuck. But But yeah, man, it was a weird drop of social status that definitely took a toll on me, like definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm still dealing with it to this day. And I don't know if that's the reason for the anxiety and stuff like that. And it's honestly, I'm a lot less anxious these days than I was in college.
That's good, yeah.
In college, it was almost every day. Like in these days, most days I'm fine.
Me, like obviously, the way I know you and stuff. I think that's why I liked sixth form so much, because it was like the next level without that drop. Like you were actually higher. You were the same school. Everyone knew you, but you were just like in a different uniform. You were the old ones. And then when you go from that to McDonald's, like no one cares at McDonald's. Nobody cares about anything. Like I'd be annoyed going to work, like, because I'd still give it my all and I'd still do my job as well as I could. And that's why I maintain that I was one of the best workers there, because if you have any sort of actual care, like you'll try hard. But I don't get how people like can just zero fucks given at their job, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't understand
get what you mean.
But like then I went from there to like obviously my house and that's sick. But like in regards to the whole like it's the whole mental illness thing, it's weird how the brain is wired and how you could almost, it feels like things can change about you without like you doing anything. Like have you heard about people who wake up, something happened, maybe they injured their back, like it's crazy how much your spine plays a role with your brain in that, but like they wake up speaking a different language.
What the fuck?
So like or a different accent. Like there's some kind of part in the brain that gets like triggered or whatever. And I think there was a woman who woke up speaking with a French accent, like she couldn't stop, like that was her accent now. And I think that there's a case of people literally speaking different languages. Imagine waking up and just like speaking like Mandarin or whatever, like and like then it makes you think like, how is that physically possible? Because like to my knowledge, the way I understand it, languages are made by people in different places to like understand and communicate, like in the same way animals communicate and all that. So like how can a brain subconsciously know a whole language that you do not know, you know? Like
yeah, man, that's the thing. And you tell me things like that and it makes it very less surprising that I woke up with anxiety one day. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. Like the brain is so complex, and it's just in our head. Like it's just there, but there's so many different parts to it. Like that just
it is, man. Yeah,
messes
scary.
With me. Like and
the
like
brain,
the fact there was the guy who had like, I don't know if you've seen this, but like he couldn't stop, like it sounds kind of funny, but like he couldn't stop orgasming like all the time.
I think I've heard about that.
And it's just because he something happened in his back. And he then like he said like how it was the worst thing, like how you're at like your granddad's funeral and you just have an orgasm there and it like hurts. Like imagine like that, like the pain of that, like if it happens all the time. And he just like, oh my god, nah. Like that's what I get like worried about. And you know that thing that like that went really big, the guy with like the massive like testicles, like the 14 stone, it just grew and grew and grew.
Fuck knows, mate.
Okay, so they like grew and all it happened that started that was that he rolled over funny and like crushed one of them, and it like hurt a lot of stuff. And I get so worried that like that could happen to anyone. Like if it happened to him with a little like with like an injury, that could happen to us as well. And sometimes like whenever I get like hit down there, I'm like, I hope that's not the one that makes him like swell.
Mate, one of my best mates lost his testicle.
Really?
He woke up in his sleep and his testicle tied itself into a knot. And it cut off the blood.
Oh.
So he had to go to hospital. And I remember he, I'm not going to say his name, but he called his current girlfriend at the time and me. And he was like, yeah, you two can, like, you need to get the fuck in this hospital, basically. Like, he said, like, yeah, if you wake up at, like, 6 a.m. or something like that, and you can come in at this hour. So I ended up sleeping in.
Yeah.
I remember turning up late, and that's a tangent anyway.
Yeah.
Something that happens to people is in their sleep, their nut will tie into a knot and cut off blood supply, and you're fucked, mate. You lost your ball, mate. Like that's it. It happens. Another popular place in the bath because of the warm water.
Ooh,
can like make your testicle react or some shit. Yeah. No, I shower now. I ain't showered after I heard that story, mate. Like, the baths were long gone when I heard that. But yeah, but he said it was the most painful thing he's ever experienced. He doesn't wish it on his worst enemy. And I was like, when he said that, I was like, whoa, I don't want to experience that.
The fact that like anything like that can happen to someone, like just literally anyone. It's like the whole thing when you just think like, when you like the whole death situation where you're like, I could die tomorrow, but you actually could. You say it thinking it's not going to happen. I'll live till, whatever, 60, 70, 80 or whatever. You don't think about it at our age. But like the fact that there are people like our age or even people that we know of that just like die, it's like it really like it's a bit freaky in a way, you know?
It is,
like
yeah, man,
anything actually could genuinely happen.
Well, cancer scares the fuck out of me, man. Like things like that, illnesses, cancers, where you just out of nowhere you get hit with something and then you're bedbound until you die.
Yeah, even more to the extent like family members as well. That worries me. Like the people you care about. Like it's like it could like happen to anyone, and it's.
Well, a lot of our listeners are like obviously really young, and when you're young, I remember hearing this in the Smith Plays podcast one time.
Yeah.
When you're young, you're so used to your body working for you, and like you never really have. I mean, there are kids who do, but for my personal experience anyway, when I was a kid, too, I never had to think about like getting ill that seriously, or if anything's gonna happen to my body, or like something's gonna stop working. But then as you get older, your body starts letting you down more, and you start to realize how fragile you actually are.
Yeah, well, as a kid,
I'm only 19, and I'm obviously already dealing with like anxiety and shit out of nowhere. And that's the brain. That's a whole other story, man. Like your brain is everything. So. Yeah, man. So enjoy it while you can. Like enjoy perfectness.
Like
while
as
you can,
a kid, illness is just like you
mate.
wake up with like a cough or a runny nose. You get the day off school. You get pampered. You get to play games, and it's kind of alright. You feel a bit rough, but like thinking about what you said, like it's true because like other than like cuts and grazes when you fall over that like sting, you never wake up like aching. You never wake up sore. You never just can't like run or whatever. You can just do pretty much whatever you want, and. But then like you said, like when you get older, and like, I don't know if you think about this, like even at this age, like you see like athletes and stuff and people, they all deteriorate, they get old, and you think, you know what, that's just not going to happen to me. I'm just going to keep going the way I am today. And it's so gradual, I guess.
Imagine being so old to the point where like you walk like there's like 80, 90
exactly, and then you see them and you think there's no way that's ever going to be me, but it could be, because then like at our age, when you have like a sore back or something like that, you're like, I've got to go for so many more years like this. Like,
I'll tell you what scared me actually, mate. Because I'm about to.
All right, here we go. All right.
So basically, what I was saying earlier was completely wrong. When I was saying about leaving school and going straight to college, I literally just remembered that I didn't go straight to college. I went from. It's even worse really what I did. I went from school to an apprenticeship. So I went from my sort of like work and. No, not work, sorry. My secondary school, all my friends and that, to being around 30-plus-year-olds every day.
Age. At school, and
then when I went back to college from there, that's when the anxiety hit.
That makes a lot more sense.
That actually makes more sense now that I thought about it. That's a big chapter of my life I forgot. I don't know why I forgot about that, but probably because I worked full time for a year. And
£2 whatever an hour, like
it does feel like a really weird year in my life when that happened. Like that does feel like. Well, it was an anomaly by far. Like that is a completely just like given my life has had its track, and then out of nowhere,
college after, and uni, like that year in the middle, that must be quite like.
It was school,
weird,
and then apprenticeship,
and then college, then uni.
Yeah, right?
So
then college, then uni. So
like mate, long period of education, a dead desk job that you don't really like. I can see that makes a lot more sense. The whole like from the sort of loneliness of not being around guys your own age and all that stuff, and then going into college after that must be really, really strange.
And obviously, when you're doing that, you only have the actual amount of holiday people would have. So I was only getting about 20 days off a year. Something like that, something horrible.
That's
all
weird.
of my friends were having summer holidays, half terms, and I was stuck in 9 to 5 like for the whole time. And when I got there, obviously I was very immature. And everyone else was really mature. So, and I treated it like school. So I remember having sick days, and then realizing that you can't really have sick days.
Because then you have more work to do, and you have to catch up, and
not just that, but they just take them a lot more seriously. You can't just call in sick like twice a week, like I did at school. Like in school, if I didn't want to be there, I'll just say to the teacher I'm ill, go to the medical room. Then my mum would pick me up. Like it was easy. If I didn't want to be there, I didn't want to be there. But now at work, when I got to work and I'm trying to pull these like sick days like 3 times a week, it doesn't go down too well. But I remember being sat there with like all these adults around me, and I'm there, and I'm like, I'm sort of trying to make banter in the office. I'm like, joking around. I'm coming in, like ripping into people and shit. I'm just being my normal self, what I'm used to being from like the way up in school. And like everyone's, I remember being an outcast, and I was like, why is no one like, why is everyone boring fuck basically? And then I realized I have to change myself if I want to fit into this workplace. So I had to start. I had no choice but to start caring what people thought about me. Otherwise, I wasn't going to be accepted, if that makes sense.
I get you.
So I started coming in. I started really like piping down, restricting what I said, like restricting myself.
Yeah.
And basically trying to be an adult when I was only 16.
Yeah,
so
that's
it was
difficult.
bad, mate. In that sense, it matured me.
Yeah.
But you don't really want to be matured at that age. You know what I mean?
No.
So I'm there. Then what I found was I was getting a lot closer to my friends at work because I was obviously
You're with them the whole time.
Sculpted myself to be available for that, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but
I get
the closer I got to the closer I got to my friends at work, the more of a distance I was putting between my actual friends outside of work.
Yeah.
So
how did you maintain that? Did you with the whole 9 to 5 Monday to Friday thing? Did you see your friends, or was it just like?
I'm trying to think of who I was best friends with at the time. I think it was James and Scares and stuff like that. I feel like it was that sort of phase.
Yeah.
That's why I started sort of becoming more closer with them. But I can't honestly admit I can't remember too well. My world became my friends did just become those friends. I'd go out to town with them. Obviously I was 16 at the time, so a lot of times it didn't work too well. But I remember we'd go out for a couple of drinks after work, and the objective was to get me into the club. Right. And sometimes it wouldn't work, but then when it did work, I had the best night ever. It doesn't even matter what happens from that point on. I got into a club, I was buzzing.
That must have been weird for you. Do you remember your first time you were in a club? Because obviously you were a couple of years too young.
First time I was ever in a club, I was probably 15, I think, maybe, or 16, I don't know.
Yeah. Do you remember that feeling at all, or do you not really remember it, that specific one?
I'm pretty sure I was already completely fucked off my head by the time I got in there. So when I was there, it was actually sound. I was already drunk and shit, so it was okay. But I don't remember too well, man. No, honestly, I don't even remember the first club I actually walked into. Yeah. I could sit here for a couple of minutes and think about it, but I don't want to. Obviously, that'd be boring to listen to.
Yeah.
But exactly. But that's when that sort of life started for me, and then obviously I become so accustomed to being like that. Then when I decided to finally leave, I've sort of made this weird sort of a man, adult, kid version of myself. I'm this weird, fucked up guy. Who's a kid but acts like an adult. And then I go to college, and it was my life was just I was just shit. Now I've got to go back. I need to stop being so mature, and I need to start being silly again, and being my normal self. Yeah. And I've already taught myself to care what people think about me. So then I think my head just got fucked up with all of that, and then anxiety hit me, and it hasn't gone since, but it's definitely been getting better.
That's good. That's good to hear that it's getting better. I think you are right in the sense that I think in 5 years or however long you want to say, I think it will be something you can look back on. I mean, I guess you could argue that it will never. That people would argue it would never leave you now that it's there, and it might pop up, but it might just be more infrequent.
I don't think it will ever leave me, honestly. I feel like it will always be there because I'm so conscious about it now, and I can't imagine every single day it's on my mind. I always think to myself, how because there's no way of telling me. There's no way. So let's say for example, every day I go to the shop and get a carton of milk. Let's say I do that every day without fail, which I don't, but just for theoretical purposes.
You like milk, you wanted to get some milk, yeah.
Yeah, so every day I go to the shop, go to the milk, and obviously that process includes me having to talk to the cashier, even if it's just, can I buy this please?
Yeah.
So, but that obviously requires eye contact. So basically what I'm trying to say is every day, let's say
there's
every
a situation
day I
that
need
you
to
be in where you need to think about it. Yeah.
So, imagine not knowing whether you're going to be able to be your complete self when you talk to that cashier, or if you're going to start shaking, your heart's going to start racing, you're going to go cold and literally not know what to say when buying milk, mate.
So milk. See, sometimes I remember when I'd be the only one home and there'd be a plumber in or whatever. I suppose coming back to when I said about an anxious sort of time for me, in that group of people, another time is either on the phone or I'm not anxious on the phone, but either on the phone or in person with someone. When I'm trying to explain something, I try and do it in one breath. I tried to tell the plumber what he had to do in one breath, and I didn't want to take a big breath because I didn't want to sit there for a second and be just let me breathe for a second, because that just looks weird. And it's just I think it's just
I never had that exactly, but that's that's a side of you thinking about what other people thinking of you.
And then I thought, then when I realised I was running out of breath, I was thinking about it, and then my words were it almost hurt my throat. And but going back to your whole milk shop story and stuff, right? Yeah. This happened to me yesterday. So I've got stuff laid out on my chest of drawers. I've got 3 glasses cases, 1 pair of glasses, and 2 sunglasses, and a wallet and a nail kit. And my nail kit and wallet are the same size. And without looking, when you do stuff,
kit?
Yeah, like a nail kit, scissors, nail clippers, nail file, that sort of thing.
Wait, so hang on a sec. So wait, you have a nail kit?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
So it's there.
Just clarify.
To be honest, I don't actually use that nail kit because the scissors are rubbish and the file's dead. But I use it to open packages and that, so it's up there. And when you do stuff second nature and you don't really think about it, like as your routine, like say in the house, basically, you know where everything is. You can like do stuff without thinking about it. Without thinking about it, I put my hand on the chest of drawers and just picked up what I thought was the wallet. It was the nail kit, and put it in my pocket. I didn't think anything of it, and I went to the co-op. And I was like, and the funny part is, when I got to the self-service, I was like, that's probably the quickest anyone's ever done a shop at the co-op, because I went in, knew what I wanted to get, went straight to the aisle, grabbed some chicken, put it on the thing, scanned the other one, and then scanned a bag. And then I put my hand in my pocket. I was like, that doesn't feel quite right. And it was my nail kit, and I just took it out. My heart sank. I was like, I actually have no money with me, and I've scanned items. I didn't know what to do, so what I did, I put the nail kit back in my wallet. I was like, back in my pocket. I was like, right, this isn't good. I picked up the chicken, left the self-service till. At least I didn't go to the actual till and had to say to them, look, I forgot my wallet. That would have sucked.
Yeah,
but I left the self-service with the item scanned, the bag, and just ran back to the chicken section, put the chicken in, went out the shop. I then had to go back home, get my wallet, and then I went all the way to the other co-op because I didn't want to risk going into the same one and them seeing me and be like, oh, look at this guy coming back. I was like, if this other co-op doesn't have chicken, I'm screwed. But
that's great.
I've never done that before, like actually going to buy something and have no wallet. Like you hear people talk about like, oh, I've lost my wallet.
I've done that a few times,
and like,
it
was so like, I actually have no means to do anything right now. Like I have no money, and I'm here trying to buy stuff. It was it took me an hour to go on like a 5-minute walk to get some chicken. It was
that's
annoying.
long. That's awkward. Yeah, fuck that.
But,
I think I've done that at my co-op down the road a few times where I've turned up, but when I like anxiety and stuff like that for me is I could be in those situations, and let's say I was in that situation, I like to think that I'll be able to go back and just order it and do that kind of stuff. Like it's not in my nature to have that sort of, embarrassed sort of feel, then go to another co-op because of it. But then again, there would be days where I definitely would do that. So, but there's days where I definitely wouldn't. It's mad, and I hate that inconsistency.
So like, I can imagine like you in that situation. Like I could easily imagine you having the confidence to say, like say you're at the self-service till, there was a guy at the till next to you, and you're like, right, I've come in without a wallet. You say, can you like put these on hold for me while I go get my wallet and come back? And you could do that like. No problem.
Done that,
exactly. Like, that's something I can imagine imagine you doing, literally. And
but then there'll be days where I'll be in that situation. I won't even know what to say. I probably end up fucking up my words and shit, and like sounding like an idiot, and then saying like I'm gonna go get my wallet, and then there's no way I'd go back. There's no way. It's like I'm two different people, man. It's kind of, it's hard to explain, mate, but it's just that it's not having that kind of consistency in your life, and it's that inconsistency.
Not knowing as well.
But it's that inconsistency in my mental state which completely cuts off a few opportunities for me. Like I could never be a teacher or anything like that. Anything that requires me to or a salesman either. I would have loved to have been a salesman. Honestly.
I can imagine actually.
Not as like as a lifelong job, but obviously while trying to make YouTube work and everything like that, I would have loved to have had my part-time job be a salesman. Because on my good days, I would love to sort of try and sell people shit, and it'd be fun. Like it's like a game.
Exactly.
But I could never take up a job like that, because there would be those days where I would go up and I wouldn't be able to speak to anyone. So and I just couldn't. And if someone forced me to, I would be a mess, mate. A mess. So I can't take up jobs like that, but where. You know what I mean? But then in my head, I also think if I force myself to take that job,
you would adapt.
Would I forcefully fix it? Yeah,
exactly. Like if you have to be thrown in that situation,
Yeah, man, and it's opened my eyes, mate. It's really opened my eyes to because if I'm dealing, because that's just the way I look at it. If I'm dealing with it, then who isn't? That's the way I look at it.
Because you're like as almost one extreme to another in some sort of way. It's like. Yeah,
mate, it's bad, man. And then I look at James, who was like one of the most confident people I know back in the day, and then now he's worse than me, man. He's definitely worse than me. I've heard his stories, man. Like it's worse. And it's like it's scary to think, man. Things
and a lot of people wouldn't open up about it as well.
Fragile.
Like it's like a lot of people wouldn't open up about it. Like I can imagine that was quite like a what's the word? Almost like. like quite a relief to have that sort of conversation that you had with James, with someone like James, to know that.
Oh mate, it was it was vital, definitely.
Yeah, like it sounds like cliche and cringy, but like the whole "you're not alone" sort of thing, and like it happens to everyone. Like people who are giving it like the large one, like they'd be like, yeah, whatever, it won't happen to me. But like to know that, people do experience it with you is quite comforting.
Everyone's got that one friend or one person that they know that they would say is the most like them. Like they're like a different,
and that was James for you,
with a different face. And even today, like James has always been that person who he is literally me in another body. Like that's why we've always clicked like that, because he is literally me. I see myself in him so fucking much. It's crazy.
See, I don't have that friend with me. I don't know anyone who's like,
really.
Yeah, I don't know who I would say.
You are a unique person though, Matt. So
I don't drink coffee. I don't do any of these things.
Or tea even.
Exactly. Screw tea.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's probably my twin brother, to be honest, actually thinking about it, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we're pretty similar in that way.
Well, it's only one person. I've only got like obviously I've got a good 4 or 5 like really close friends. Like I've got you, James, I've got like Jarrett, and I've got all of that kind of people, like Aaron, I guess I'd say.
Yeah.
Like me and Aaron, we're like, he is one of my best friends, but it's Aaron. You got to.
It's just Aaron.
Dosages of time with him. Yeah, it's
you've got to have in small doses.
Small doses. You got that friend that you can only really see in small doses. Yeah. But we're working on that.
That's what I like.
James is.
Carry on.
I was gonna say James was always that person who was. We clicked from day one. I remember the first time I ever met him was like we were in science class, and
you just got each other.
Yeah, we clicked from day one. So we were always then from that moment on, we were always just best friends throughout secondary school, and then we stopped talking a bit after school. And then obviously he came around to visit me at uni, and I didn't know any of this about him. Yeah. And I opened up to him first. I was saying these things that I was experiencing and that, and then he was like, "No way!" I swear, he was there. He was like, "No fucking way!" He was like, I have the exact same thing, man. And we started talking about it.
You were like, "Oh shit!" And then
mate. And then it was when I realized that the person who, in my opinion, was the most like me is now dealing with this as well. Like that was very nice to know, because although I don't wish it,
exactly. But
it's nice to know that I'm not going fucking crazy. That this is probably something that, and that's what helped me narrow it down to the causes and made me think, because me and James both had the same like social status in school, and then we both dropped off in that sense.
We're very like similar,
Yeah, man. So it does make me think, and I'm not willing to accept that I have anxiety. I just feel like it's just something that's like a fight that I'm battling at the moment that no one else can really see.
That's the thing, like, no one, like, looking at you, even in a social situation, even perhaps if it was, like, happening, like you said, you don't know if your mate at college even noticed, like, even though you do, like, it would be very hard for people to know.
I don't know who
you, if that's happening, like, I wouldn't, like it's in a way no surprise to me that it's happening, because I've just been surprised over and over about mental illness and that. Like when I got the call from my brother saying he's on tablets for it, like recently, I was like, oh no way, like what? But it sort of doesn't surprise me in a way as well that it could happen to you, but no one could see it. Like you wouldn't tell.
I get what you mean. Like, I get completely what you mean.
And like with the whole like anxiety thing for your situation, do you find it's only in like social interaction and that? Because I remember there was one time when do you remember when I went to London and I messaged you saying like, I'm stuck in the toilet, and you just made me laugh out loud, and it was hella awkward. And I didn't know, so I'll set the scene for you guys. So I just got off the train, I was in London, and Max messaged me something, I can't remember, and it actually made me like laugh, and I was in the cubicle, and I got a bit embarrassed, because I was laughing in the cubicle, like, you can only imagine what you'd be laughing at there, and then you gave me like a step-by-step guide how to have the coolest shit of your life, you said.
Was it?
How to like, just don't care what anyone was saying, like, I was waiting for the hand dryer period, where someone like dries their hands, like, all right, let's just go, let's just do this.
Oh, I remember this. And you were like, I do, yeah. The step-by-step guide.
And you just, I mean, if you were to give someone else a step-by-step guide, what would you say to them now? Because I can't remember the exact words, but like you said some really inspiring things.
Oh man, wasn't I saying stuff along the lines of like, I don't know. It was basically just shitting proudly.
Yeah, and then just walk out there like you own the joint, not caring.
Literally walk out. Yeah, like, exactly. Like, literally,
is that something like? Would you struggle to do that, or like
do what?
Like for instance, like in the toilet and stuff. Like for instance, like sometimes if I go to a urinal and there's someone next to me, I can't remember what it's called. I don't know if it's called ghost bladder or something, but I just couldn't go. No, like he was there and I just couldn't go, and I don't know why.
Okay,
have you ever had that?
See, that's the thing. Never anything like that. And in most situations, My only issue, mate, is when it comes to eye contact. It's a certain eye contact that I make with someone that triggers it, and it's the same thing every single time.
So eye contact at the urinal would be difficult situations.
Yeah, if I had someone opposite me and like I'm trying to shit and like we're looking eye to eye, mate, and he's sat there like we're just both not talking, sat there looking at each other, like it probably caused a couple of issues. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But in a situation like that, no, I wouldn't care what anyone think. I wouldn't like have to wait for the hand or something like that. Like I'm lucky to have never.
I'm getting better with that. You're pleased to know, by the way.
Yeah, like little things like that. I still to this day don't care what people think in that sense. It's just when I'm talking to someone, for some reason, I'm so recently obsessed with them. It's as if like they're analysing me, like they're like looking at every little eye movement and mate. It's got to the point where there's a few times, and it's only happened a very few amount of times, but when it does happen, mate, it scares the fuck out of me because it makes me wonder how far this can go.
Yeah.
But the worst it's gotten for me is when I can't walk. Because I don't know, I feel like people are analysing how I'm walking.
Oh, so not like you physically can't, you just like you don't really know how to do it kind of thing.
I forget how to walk normally, and I start like my legs I start limping every now and again because I'm tripping over my legs because I'm so heavily concerned about how my legs look while I'm walking, how my arms are looking. Is it all in motion? Little things like that, mate. I'll get obsessed with that randomly, and it will fuck the way I'm walking. And
that's crazy.
Man. Dude. It's just something that I really wish I didn't have to deal with. I always loved just being able to be myself in social situations, and
that's definitely something you were good at.
Yeah, exactly.
Despite the trouble it got you into sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, man. It was never something I had to worry about, and now every time that I'm like, oh, let's meet, let's do this, I'm like, will I be okay that day? Will I not? Because it's a day ruiner. It will either ruin my day or make my day. If I could be myself, I'll love it. I'll absolutely love it. But if I can't, then my day or night or the events has been ruined for me, man. And it's like, it's fucked, man. So man, it just made me think even more so that, because like you said, if I never mentioned that, like there's no way you would know, because I don't really show any signs of it.
Well, I mean, other than like the whole. Like I know you've had like trouble sleeping and all that, but like that can kind of like almost like that those sort of qualities can be attributed to someone like you. I feel like someone who like is like busy, got a lot going on in their mind. Like that's almost like that didn't surprise me in the slightest. Although, by the way, guys, if you want to help with sleeping, Max has a little theory. Listen to our podcast.
Theory, mate. It's proven evidence, lad.
Proven once. I was gonna do it. Here's the thing: I was gonna do it last night so I could tell you my results on the recording today. But I just thought, I won't.
Out before you get the podcast open.
Now, see, I usually listen to weather effects. I don't need to.
I've tried that once or twice.
I kind of like it. I recently found a new one, and it's just like it's rain falling on like a caravan window or something. Like so, it's like you can hear the rain really close and really well, and it's just like it's satisfying. Because I used to sleep right by a window, and whenever it was raining, I'd open the window and listen to it and fall asleep. So I think maybe because it's like connected to like my childhood in a way, like maybe that's helped, like the nostalgia of the sound. But like. Yeah. And another thing, I want to know, because there's one rain video I've been listening to for probably like 6 months, and it's like pretty much every night for the whole night, and it's like usually like 10 or 7 to 12 hours of the video, depending on how long I sleep, every night. So the amount of watch time I'm giving to that channel on YouTube, I want to know how much watch time and their average view duration is for their whole channel. Like, imagine having an average view duration of like 6 hours.
Just runs.
Exactly, and to YouTube, you're watching it. Literally, that's the thing.
I'm gonna start uploading rain on my channel, mate.
That's my idea was gonna be like, if people are struggling to reach like 4,000 hours watch time, upload a 10-hour video that's designed to be listened to as you sleep. You'll get that, like, just 5,000 views, 5 hours a view. That's 25,000 hours. That's way over the limit. You want that YouTube tip?
Yeah.
Upload,
I never thought about that. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
But then, in order to make actually money from that watch time, you need to add mid rolls, don't you?
Yeah. But like, if they're asleep, they don't know the mid rolls.
Surely that's gonna wake most people up. Wake people up.
Nah, I wouldn't.
I don't think, mate. You fall asleep with nice rain tapping the fucking caravan. It's
if
like,
you're not
do you
asleep,
know how you could get this product for this like out of nowhere, mate?
Nah,
like a fat. That would wake me up.
If you can find a way to just chuck a few mid rolls in there, that. I've also wanted to test a theory as to how many mid-rolls you could put on a video. Like, so make a 10-minute video and try and put a mid-roll every second and see if that's possible.
Amount.
Yeah. Like 1,000 mid-rolls on a video.
Jesus
I
Christ.
get comments like saying, "Oh, you're a money." I think someone called me, and I quote, "a money-hungry faggot" for putting 4 adverts on an 18-minute video. And I said, "I've genuinely seen 13 ads on an 11-minute video before. Like, it's not money hungry. It's just normal. It I would say like an ad maximum every 3 minutes, but usually every 4 or 5. So like if it's a 10-minute video, put 2 in the middle. If it's 20-minute, 3 or 4. If it's an hour, maybe 8. But people see that and they think, wow, you just want money. It's like, first of all, obviously I do, and second of all, like, I just
exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, why is that a concept that people can't understand, that YouTubers don't want money?
Yeah,
it's like for some reason that we're meant to be completely fucking minimal profit.
Yeah,
no, we have to like turn down money from like these like it's almost if a lot of people want you to actually say no to these advertisers. Like, nope, I want to stay 100% legit. Don't give me the money.
Yeah, it's next to no effort to skip a mid-roll ad, and it's barely any effort for us to put it in. But I don't think people realize the difference it makes to money. I didn't till about a year ago. How you can literally double earnings on a video that's the same length by putting a couple in the middle, and most people don't even get the ads. Like, if I've done a video with, say, like an hour-long video with 8 ads, someone will be like, "Oh, I got an ad at every break." I highly doubt that. Like, I watch videos, I very rarely get an advert every time it says there's supposed to be an advert.
Yeah, same. Yeah, it's not.
And for what it's worth, it's just worth it. It just is. Like.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think a lot of people just can't quite gather the concept that you do need.
I suppose
money
if they're like, I was gonna say if they're younger, they might not get it.
But money does get quite important, believe it or not, guys.
So subscribe to the channel, get us to 1,000 subs, 4,000 hours watch time. You'll see the mid-rolls on these videos. We'll have a mid-roll every 5 minutes.
Something to work towards.
Exactly, because right now we're operating ad-free. Are we getting praised for it in the comments? No.
See?
Where's the praise?
You guys show a bit more fucking respect.
If you've watched this far into the podcast, just include in your comments, so something like, I would click the ad. Something like, so we know we can assess who is here in the podcast currently. Because this has been how long has this been? Hour and 10? Hour 15?
How long has this been?
Hour 20?
I think about an hour 15, because I feel like we started the podcast pretty soon after recording this time. Last time.
I feel like
it's probably about an hour 15, hour 20. Yeah,
it's coming to like a sort of natural banterish end. I don't know if that's just me. If you have anything else to add to it.
That's the thing. How do you ever know when to end the podcast?
That's like, because we could keep talking forever, like easily.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And like when we hang up the call, we'd probably like talk about other things. But it's think about like getting into a new thing, or.
It's probably worth mentioning, last time, guys, when we finished the podcast, for those of you who listened to the whole thing, when we finished that podcast, we went on for another, how many hours was it?
It was a few. We were like playing games and just talking about
up to 3, something like that. Yeah, we started playing Rocket League.
Yeah,
and then we started getting into more interesting conversations that you even heard in the podcast. Originally, and we were like, "Fuck!" Like, if that was part of the podcast, man.
Yeah, it would have been a long podcast, but it would have been like it was like a mind blown kind of conversation, like one of those conversations that you enjoy. Like, really,
we started. I don't want to talk about it really, because like we're ending it now.
I know.
Start up a whole.
We then end it now and then talk about it again. just that's what we would do.
Man, yeah, it's annoying. It's annoying.
But I mean,
you're being recorded. Like it's harder. But then obviously when we finish this and we start playing Rocket League together or something,
chill. Yeah,
we're gonna go off on a fucking mad conversation.
Because there are some people like when they play games, they just talk about the game and like. But we just. I don't even know how we get onto the subjects. Really?
I don't even know how we win the games we play.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time I don't even know what the fuck's going on.
Games of Rocket League will pass, and we're like, I don't really know. We're winning or losing. We could be winning by 4 goals, losing by 2 goals, whatever. Like, we'd be like, I genuinely don't know what's happened this game. Because it's like, it's a second nature.
It's like autopilot.
Yeah, it's weird. But I think definitely there's a 100% chance it's going to come up in a future podcast what we spoke about. There's no way. Like, it's so...
Has to be, yeah.
Yeah, we'll find a way. Because I don't know how we got onto what we got onto today. I mean,
no idea.
I basically
I can't remember how anything ever happened.
I saw Nexus comment about the Earth being flat, and I knew that could go into some sort of conspiracy chat. That was my only plan in my head. I had a note written. I wrote a note at the last minute for another thing we could like talk about, but we can talk about that one.
Yeah, save it, mate. I've got some things as well. But one thing, I literally, because I just looked back at my notes, and because when we talk, sometimes I type things down while we're talking just to come back to them, because I know sometimes we're talking about something, we get off on a tangent, we never come back to it.
Yeah.
So and we did it again. I don't know if you realise about the insomnia and the that trick that I used to sleep. I was just about to say it, and then we went on to
we started talking about the podcast and that.
So like last time, it makes me crack up. I don't know why. mind, but I can picture these kids sat at the computer.
What's it gonna
for like 2 months. This kid sat and I haven't slept for like a decade, like on his last legs.
Yeah,
on his last fucking legs.
Oh yeah, I started talking about watch time and YouTube and that. Oh yeah. So anyway, back 20 minutes in the future. Max is
to wrap this up, I'm just gonna end with something that might help someone out there. So, if you're like me, this sounds like an advert now, but if you're like me, and
that salesman in you,
yeah, here it comes. So I have like insomnia my whole life. Not as bad ages ago, but recently, like, it's been pretty bad. So, for example, just so you guys get an idea of what I'm dealing with, is a couple of days ago, I had about 3-4 nights where in total I had about 7 hours sleep. So it's like 2 hours a night almost, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was just shit. And I was genuinely like mentally like crumbling. And then each night you'd think that if you had a sleepless night, the next night you'd be able to be tired enough to sleep.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I'm sat on my chair, I'm like, I'm so tired, I'm going to go to sleep and pass out. And as soon as my head hits the pillow, I'll close my eyes and my mind will start racing. So a lot of people have insomnia in different ways, but my issue always was when my head hits the pillow and my eyes shut. It feels like there's like 1,000 people in my head all trying to start a different conversation. So it's like a bunch of topics start and end in my head.
Could be schizophrenia.
Yeah, it's like it's just nuts, mate. It's
but
fun.
I get
so my head just goes off on a mad one every night. So I was sat there and I was thinking, mate, it got to the point where I'm very anti-medicine in the sense that I don't want to ever rely on a drug to be able to keep me either sane or, to actually get me to sleep, like sleep pills. I know that if I start taking sleep pills, then it's only going to lead to me taking more and more, and it's going to I'm not going to solve the root of the issue.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just going to sort of, so I really try my best to stay away from any of that. So I was sat there, I'm like, right, I'm about to order some fucking sleeping pills, mate. Got to that point, I was like, I'm about to order like melatonin or something, mate, because I'm like, I can't actually function like this. So I sat up in like, the middle of the night and I was thinking, what can I do, man, to like take my mind off all this like crazy shit that's going on in my head? And I thought, if I have something to listen to, I can't do music because music just keeps me up. I start singing the song and fucking that's it, I'm gone. Like the lyrics will get stuck in my head and it's GG. I needed something like a conversation or something to listen to. So I thought, fuck it, I love podcasts, I'm going to stick one on, try and focus on the conversation, and then hopefully that'll put me to sleep. So I thought it won't hurt to try. I've already tried everything else. So I got on the
rather than the M25 that you said to me.
Yeah, exactly.
You tried the M25.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was that bad, mate. I was like, I'm about to jump onto the fucking M25 if this doesn't like sort itself out tonight. So just so you guys know the exact podcast I got up, because I know a lot of you are gonna be wondering.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get it up so I can link it in the description of the podcast. It was the Joe Rogan Experience episode 1072 with Joey Diaz. Yeah, mate. I just want to because it's a good podcast, mate. It's funny. I love Joey Diaz. For those of you who don't know him, he's probably the funniest comedian of all time in my opinion. Wow. And he's just a funny guy, mate, and those two together they have some interesting conversations. I don't want to go too deep into it because we are wrapping it up, but I basically put that podcast on, laid there about 10-15 minutes for me, mate, and I was out cold. And that is, for me, mate, that is unheard of. It normally takes me hours to fall asleep. I was laying there.
Yeah, that's alien to me. That's crazy.
Yeah, because that podcast was on and because they were talking, and I was able to shut my eyes then, and my mind only had one thing to focus on, and that was that conversation.
Exactly.
So as long as I stayed engaged in that conversation, my mind couldn't physically actually think of anything else apart from that conversation. So my mind was at rest.
Yeah.
So I felt like this pure peace bit. I was laying there in peace, and although the podcast was, it got to a point where the podcast was keeping me up, but it was so much better than what I was dealing with before. I was
You're also enjoying it as well, like I'd imagine, like because you would listen to any podcast, you're invested in it, and then when you I was enjoying it,
I was enjoying the story like at the time, and I can't remember the story he was telling, but I was really exactly. I was enjoying it, man, and it was keeping me up, mate. 'Cause fucking, it was like I was laying there and I was listening to it, and then like one of them would laugh loud or something like that, and it would just like wake. I was like jolting off and it would wake me back up. Yeah. But man, that happened a few times. It probably will happen to you, but if you're like me, that's nothing on fucking laying there not being able to sleep in the first place.
The fact that you said like it was like a few hours average to get to sleep for you is crazy. Because
I
don't know if it's like real, but like they do say the average for a human being is 7 minutes, which obviously for you is like clearly never happened.
Unheard of. I don't even know how that's possible.
Like that sounds realistic to me. Like on average, some days it'd be 2 minutes, some days it'd be like no time at all, some days it'd be like 10. Like for me, that sounds like pretty average, but
it's mad. Well, I had one of my friends from it's like technically family. It's one of the sort of like family friends.
Yeah.
He lives in Denmark, and he came down not so long ago to come visit. And we were at my cousin's flat, and it was me, my cousin, and him. We just came back from a night out, and we were just all chilling in the flat. We put a movie on, and they were telling me beforehand how this guy, when a movie goes on, he clocks out instantly. And I didn't believe it. I was like, surely you must watch for like 20 minutes, something like that. He was like, no, mate, within about a minute of that film, I'm gone. Something to do with films, mate. They just knocked me out. I was like, fuck off, mate, fuck off. So I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
It came to that night. I swear to God, mate. We put the film on, mate, and then the credits at the beginning finished. I was like, right, boys, we're ready to watch this film. Look over. He is like snoring, mate. He is out cold, and he wasn't even bullshitting. I swear to God. And I was like, what? I couldn't believe it, mate.
Yeah.
I was like, does he know how lucky he is? Like, I would kill for that kind of privilege, man.
Yeah.
To be able to sleep the second I want to sleep. Oh my God, it's unheard of, man. It's unheard of. So yes, it's mad. And then when you told me how you've never really been up for more than like half an hour in bed, and
apart from like extreme circumstances like illness or whatever, but
but just on the regular occurrence, I mean, it blows my mind. It blows. And
likewise, when
mind.
You said that was completely unheard of for you, that was, I didn't really know how to react. I was like, it was more just like disbelief, like how actually do you live?
Yeah, man.
Because that's what it is, a lot of time to just do nothing and
fuck.
Yeah. I think going back to when we said, like, when we tried to mention it the first time, I think at one point say, if you're having trouble sleeping, listen to our podcast. So that may not have made sense, but now it does. Well, you can use our podcast to like fall asleep.
The next day I woke up and I thought like, oh, I'm gonna tweet about this, and I knew it'd be a long tweet. I'd have to take like 3 or 4 tweets to fully explain it. But I just thought to myself, like, if this helps one person, because I know how horrible it is, it ruins your life at that current stage when you can't get sleep. Because obviously, just stay up all night and think of how you feel. Just imagine that happening like 3-4 days in a row. So it fucks you up, mate. You can't really do anything, and you get irritable. Like me and Matt were playing Fortnite, and like I knew how irritable I was being every time I rage. Okay, it's in my nature to rage, but this was like, even you were probably like, oh, Matt's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's like when you died, when you were basically already dead, and there was like nothing on the line.
Yeah,
there were like 80 people left. You had no health. There were 4 people around you, and you still got angry,
death.
like really, as if it was final 2. Like
and it was exactly at that point where I said to Matt, I was like, yeah, I have to leave, man. I can't play anymore. Like, was that
the day where you said? I remember you said like I might put a film or something. That was the day where you used the podcast or something.
Yeah, that was the same night. Yeah, because I was literally at the point of like mental breakdown. Like I was gone when I came off that like
that session.
Yeah, like I was gonna say it now, mate. Like I was in tears.
Really?
I swear, mate. I came off that podcast, mate, and I was in like tears. I couldn't I was literally going insane. Like I was sat there.
That's crazy.
And my mum was there as well, and I was like.
What, that day we were playing like Fortnite?
About 10 minutes after that, mate, like I broke out into tears because I couldn't sleep. It was about 4 days of like 4 nights of like no sleep, and I knew what I was in for that same night. And I was like, yeah, mate, it was bad. So that night was definitely the last night before I went on medication, definitely.
Wow.
Because it was either medication or like I'm gonna fucking die from like no sleep.
And how have you like slept since then? Like it's sort of been like your average, like not too quick, not sort of like not great, but like meh.
Since then I haven't had to use a podcast.
Yeah. But it's been like I assume you haven't been like knocked out after 15 minutes. It's been a bit more what you're used to, like, kind of thing.
About up to an hour at most.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been good since then because I feel like I don't really know why actually. I feel like it's just. It feels like phases, mate.
I think crying is underrated as well. Like, do you ever get that moment where like you cry and you do feel relieved? Sometimes, like I've had it before. Like I've just, you get that feeling you need to cry, and like you just like cry for no reason, but then you feel like better. I think, because I think generally, like stereotypically, but like literally as well, women do cry more than men. I think like men can go like months and months. Some men go years and years without crying. Like, I think sometimes it is good to just like empty the floodgates a little bit. And
yeah, exactly. It's a huge stress reliever, dude.
Yeah.
And I think one of my biggest problems is I can't really cry normally.
Yeah, I remember you said to me before, like, even there'd be situations where you should cry, but you just can't.
Well, man, that's the thing. Like my biggest role model is my dad. Always has been ever since I was a kid. It's my dad, and my dad is like he's definitely even to this day like the toughest guy like I've ever met in my life. So And he never, I'm pretty sure he never told me, like, don't cry. Maybe, like, when I was younger and stuff like that, maybe he, like, obviously, because he doesn't want his, like, you know, but it was never that. It was sort of, I just wanted to be as tough as him.
You got that vibe from him that he was that tough. You obviously,
and all my uncles are the same in that sense, because obviously they all had the same childhood and everything, and they all, like, they're all, like, just tough as fuck, mate. Like, it's, and I'm nothing like them in that sense, so I always wanted to be like them, so I was like, right, crying, like, that's one thing that I have to wipe out my life. So when I was really, really young, I made it, like, a law almost, that no matter what happens, no matter how much pain or anything I'm in, I can't cry. So my whole life, mate, I went years upon years upon years, mate, without crying, even though there's many times where I wanted to. And it got to the point where now I'm 19. This is why, if it, like, I say these things because if you are young and you're listening to this, like, this can definitely help you. Like, you gotta let your emotions out, man. Because
you can't bottle it up.
I'm at a stage of my life now where I cannot cry, even on the days where I really, really want to. Like, the actual emotion doesn't. It's like I'm crying, but I can't actually cry, mate. It's really fucking weird, mate.
I think it's
it's like needing to sneeze, but you can't actually let the sneeze out.
Like,
physically can't. You physically want to cry. You know, no one's around, so it doesn't matter. Like, I can cry in my room, but I'm sat there, like, trying to cry and I can't. So that's why when it took me 4 nights of sleep to actually let this one out, and obviously it was also all the emotion of sort of leaving uni and not knowing what I'm doing in my life, that kind of thing. Like, all that was already bottled up, and then that sleep on top of it, that's what made it, like, able to cry. And I was sat there with my mum for a while beforehand, and I was like pouring out my emotions to her. I was saying to her, like, how I feel and shit like that, and about the sleeping and stuff like that. And she was saying, like you look like you need to cry. I was like, I know, but I can't. And it took me a while. We sat there for like 20 minutes, and then it finally just came out. And when it came out, like, it fucking came out, mate, I was in tears. Like, I was a complete mess. But then after that, I went to bed. And I was like, oh my god, I felt like a million times better.
I remember the next day you came on, like, it's almost like I went from sitting here, you were irritated, then the next day I was sat in the same place, I haven't really gone anywhere, and you came out, you're like a different person. Like, you said, like, how on it you felt, which is good to hear, like, man. But I think
definitely. I needed that night's sleep, bro. But it's even after the crying, like, I laid there in bed, and I was like, instantly I knew I'm not going to be able to sleep again tonight, and I knew that wasn't even a possibility this time. So I had to figure out either a solution that night, or like it was going to have to be like melatonin or something. So I literally just tried it. I was like, fuck it, man, I'm gonna stick on a podcast, and it works.
So again, going back full circle, podcasts, give us that watch time.
Yeah, man, it's good to have your mind occupied like that. There's some really good podcasts out there. Obviously, when I put the tweet out there, I literally, when I was writing, I'm like, people are going to think I'm plugging our podcast. I was like, that's going to be what people think, but it wasn't the case at all. I didn't even listen to this podcast when I did it. I listened to Joe Rogan one, so there you go. But this one's better, so just listen to this one.
This is second episode. We've done 1,000 and whatever, but
yeah, man. Well, we're meant to shut this off when?
Like 25 minutes ago. It's all good. It's all good. I think that's a good way to end it. So
we'll wrap it up there, because I could go on for fucking years.
That's the thing. This is what happens after. But if we get into that, we'll talk about something else that happened. With this podcast, guys, make sure, like, if you listen to the whole thing, or if anything that, like, we said, you want to create a conversation about it, definitely leave comments down below. We'll address them like we did, like Matt did at the beginning of this video. We'll do even more so next video. Like that one comment, it can be random, but it can just spark, because
it's a conversation starter. It's an icebreaker almost.
Yeah, the first podcast we don't know what to say. We got some tweets from you. The second podcast, like, it was not like we're never worried about not speaking the length of time, because as you've clearly seen, this is easy for us. But just starting with something. So just anything you want to be talked about, anything you want to say, just leave it in the comments. Be sure to leave a like on it as well. And you can find Max and I in the description too, if you want to do that.
Yeah, man, I had a really good time this podcast. That was
it was sick.
Really,
so many things to think about. Like,
already feel a lot more experience in the second one than we did in the first one.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, like, a contrast between the first two, because I remember, like, with your old podcast, it was like this is the first one, second one was okay, and then your third one was like breakthrough at that time. Like, the third one was sick, but then you go to like number 15 compared to the third one, it's like poles apart. So, but I do, like you said, man, I feel like more confident, more comfortable, and still enjoying it, obviously, which is great. And I'm glad we're doing it again. Like, we're recording it on the same day we did last week as a routine, and that's the best part. I think
felt good to get a lot of things off my chest this one as well. Definitely. That's one thing that I really wanted coming into this podcast, was be able to, like, talk about stuff like we did talk about this podcast. Like, this is probably deeper than this podcast went deeper than I thought it was going to go. I didn't even think I was going to cover any
mental
of that
illness
shit.
Was not on the cards at the start.
Yeah, at all. Didn't even think we were going to cover it, but yeah, man, it's just it's healthy for us, and it's hopefully good for you guys.
And with a solo podcast, I can imagine it's probably a bit harder to talk about your own mental problems with yourself to someone in that format.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
Whenever one of us is having like a certain time, it's good to have like a listener in each other as well as the viewers to talk to as well.
Definitely, man. I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm loving this. Excited
All right.
for next week already.
Yeah, we're gonna meet up soon, aren't we? Play some basketball.
Oh yeah, we're gonna play a bit of b-ball.
We're gonna be. When's the last time we saw each other in real life? London. That actually wasn't that long ago.
Marky dude, like
we'll go like months without seeing each other.
We see each other like 3 times a year, some shit like that. But
it's good. All right.
Yeah,
so that's gonna do it for this podcast. Like you said, comment down below, leave a like, check out our channels for us on Twitter and that. Anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No, just thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. And yeah, peace.
Peace out.